Summer Part 2 is here for year 3 of Fire Emblem Heroes. The Summer Refreshes banner features another 4 summer units. This time we have Ursula, Lilina, newcomer Wolt, and good old Lin. We'll be covering everyone's stats, new weapons and skills, and discuss some builds and playstyles for each character. With 3 houses coming out in less than 3 weeks and what is almost assuredly a 3 houses banner coming with it, just how tempting is our second summer banner? Ursula is back after being one of the game's first Grand Hero battle units. She is still on a horse, but this time is a colorless dagger unit. She has 36 HP, 36 attack, 34 speed, 16 defense, and 28 resistance. For comparison, Ursula is pretty set for any offensive builds. 36 attack is quite high for daggers in general, and paired with 34 speed, it's definitely a fine complement. Of course, she is going to be a bit squishy, definitely keep her away from any physical damage threats. Her magical bulk is okay, but nothing special. With some great offensive stats and the 3 movement of a cavalier, Ursula seems like she'll be pretty fun to use. For old skills, Ursula has rally attack and speed plus 6 attack and speed to 1 ally target is pretty nice, and she'll need it to use one of her newer skills. Her C skill is even res wave, a good plus 6 res every other turn is great and does at least boost her decent magical bulk. Summer Ursula introduces a new set of summer-themed inheritable weapons. The Scallop Blade Plus is a 12 might dagger, and if a penalty is active on foe, grants plus 5 attack and speed during combat. A penalty is any stat debuff or negative status effect, such as panic or guard. Now, there is a lot of text for this weapon, but it's basically just explaining what a penalty is, and also saying this dagger inflicts the usual -7 defense and res debuff to the target and nearby allies. So the Scallop Blade requires your enemy to be debuffed by something, and fortunately dagger weapons have their own built-in debuffs. If Ursula were to attack, she would prep her next fight to get that extra plus 5 attack and speed. Assuming this dagger can be stat refined, picking up the speed refine could get you plus 7 speed total from the weapon, which is pretty good. To get the most out of it, you'll want to run Ursula alongside skills like chills, ploys, sabotage, panic, etc. If you want to be more annoying, using this dagger with wind sweep or water sweep could be interesting since it lets you lay down the debuff safely. Maybe not the greatest skill to use on Ursula herself, but for a dagger unit with a more balanced stat line, it could be a fun build. Summer Ursula does have a new B skill that can help activate her Scallop Dagger Plus. Defense and Res Ruse 3 states, if a rally assist skill is used by unit or target's unit, inflict -5 defense and resistance and guard on foes in cardinal directions of unit and target through their next actions. Okay, so this new Ruse skill seems to be a stronger variant of the Feint B skills. Both require a rally assist skill to be used, but Ruse not only inflicts a stat debuff, it also inflicts the guard status on enemies hit. Not to mention, it affects foes in cardinal directions from both the unit with the Ruse skill and the ally evolved with the rally. This is pretty cool. It expands the range of this debuff, and I actually think it's a much better version of the Feint debuffs. The -5 to defense and res is great, but the guard status is also incredibly strong, especially in any PvP modes, and applying it from long range is awesome. For Summer Ursula, she can use the skill to apply debuffs to a target and get Scallop Blade to activate, plus she doesn't even have to be the one to use the rally skill. If you are someone who loves using rally traps for defense teams in arena or Aether raids, these new Ruse skills may definitely be a viable option worth looking into. Now for builds, you have to decide how you want to utilize Ursula. She can definitely be a good damage dealer, but with Scallop Blade, you would ideally want an ally to rally her first to get defense and res Ruse activated, so Ursula can use the debuffs to activate Scallop Blade. I do think defense and res Ruse is a cool skill, so to build around it, you could use bond skills for a slot or a sacred seal slot. You could do some mixed phase setups with 1 bond and something like Swift Sparrow or Darting Blow. With 36 attack and 34 speed, Fear plus Desperation plus Brazen attack and speed is obviously going to do very well, and she'll need Desperation if you're fighting lots of physical damage threats. Of course, if you use Desperation, you can't use defense and res Ruse, and I do think it's a cool new ability to try out. It lowers the enemy's defense and activates Scallop Blade's attack and speed buff for Ursula, so you could instead opt for more defensive skills like Distant Defense to tank better. Rally attack and speed plus with the Ruse ability also makes for a fantastic support build since you can long range debuff defense and res while improving your allies' offensive stats. Not to mention inflicting guard on multiple enemies, it has a lot of potential. If you get Summer Ursula, I think you might as well try to use this new ability in some way. Our next unit is Summer Lilina, another cavalry unit, but this time she is a red dagger. Her stats include 35 HP, 38 attack, 25 speed, 16 defense, and 35 resistance. 38 attack is her standout trait, and it ties for highest among any dagger units with some of the armored daggers. Her 35 res is also actually pretty decent, and in exchange her HP, speed, and defense stats are all quite low. She's another one you want to keep away from any physical damage. An interesting tidbit is that Summer Lilina is now our highest attack cavalry unit, and for a ranged cavalier, that's a very impressive feat. For old skills, Lilina has Rally Up Res Plus, good to pair with Ursula, and it can buff up multiple allies with +6 resistance. Her A skill is Attack and Res Solo, which gets her +6 attack and resistance when not adjacent to any ally. That is fantastic for a high damage ranged cavalier, perfect for long range engagements. Her C skill is Attack Opening, which grants the ally with the highest attack stat with +6 attack for 1 turn. It does not work on herself, sadly. Summer Lilina has another inheritable dagger, this one called the Broadleaf Fan Plus. It has 12 might and grants bonus to units attack equal to total penalties on foe during combat. Also, it inflicts the normal -7 defense and res dagger debuff. So this effect is the same as Gunthor's Blizzard Tome or Matthew's new Spy Dagger Refinement. It's like a reverse Blade Tome effect where you get extra attack for every stat debuff on the enemy. This is nice for any dagger because daggers inherently inflict debuffs after attacking, and Lilina can dish out some serious damage if her target is already debuffed. A very cool weapon. We talked about some builds from Matthew's Spy Dagger yesterday, so we'll have some overlap here. Big difference between Matthew and Lilina is that Lilina has 13 more base attack than Matthew, so oh yeah, she's gonna be incredibly scary if you have tons of debuffs on the field. This is an inheritable dagger, and I could see it being very potent on the armor dagger units who can abuse their armor only skills with it. Luckily, Lilina actually brings a new skill to complement her new dagger. Sabotage Defense 3 is the latest variant, and at the start of the turn, if any foe's resistance is 3 points lower than the unit's resistance and that foe is adjacent to another foe, then inflict -7 defense on that foe. So sabotage skills work very much like a versus knight, just that it compares resistance instead. Summer Lilina has a great base 35 res to use this skill, and if it hits an enemy, Lilina will get +14 damage on that guy because of Broadleaf Fan's ability. 7 attack for the -7 debuff, and since it's a defense debuff, she'll be doing another 7 damage basically. Very good synergy between these two skills, and when you have both of them on a 38 attack ranged cavalier, my god. This is a very good skill for Summer Lilina and for any heavy physical damage teams. Putting everything together, Summer Lilina is very well made. Broadleaf Fan plus Attack and Res Solo plus Sabotage Defense is perfect for long range one-shot takedowns, and with her good res stat, she can definitely survive mage assaults. For stat refines, I personally would take the extra 3 resistance on Broadleaf Fan versus the 1 extra might. Instead of using attack opening, I would definitely think about using double ploys because that's just more damage should Lilina apply them. Heck, you can even run defense ploy if you're worried about spread out teams where sabotage defense won't activate. Similar to Matthew, I think Lilina could run close counter plus vantage, but getting to vantage range may be a bit risky since she'll definitely die to any physical damage threats in one round of combat. If you can make it and apply debuffs, Lilina definitely has the damage to pull it off. Since Broadleaf Fan totals all penalties on the enemy, you definitely want to pair Lilina with a panic user because the panic stats stack with the regular debuffs, and that can create some insane bonus attack numbers. Aversa is an obvious choice for this. If you want to make a good horse emblem team, Summer Lilina would, even Ursula would both love to work with Harid and Gunthra since those two also need debuffs to function. Overall, Summer Lilina can definitely do some incredible things if you play around debuffs. Her high base attack combined with Broadleaf Fan is very good, and she could even run other daggers that have effectiveness built in should you want a one-shot machine. I think her base kit is fantastic, and she should be a fun unit to use. Our third summer unit is Wolt, a new character for Fire Emblem Heroes. He is a green bow cavalier, our second one I believe. Wolt has 40 HP, 34 attack, 34 speed, 25 defense, and 17 resistance. Pretty good attack and speed, both very workable, with some okay physical bulk. His res is a little low, but he should be able to take at least one hit. For old skills, Wolt has drawback, nothing wrong with that. His B skill is Chill Speed, so -7 speed to the fastest enemy, and that's great for both himself and his team. Always an annoying skill to face. Wolt's weapon is the Big Catch Bow Plus. There was an error on the preview video, so the correct might is 12, and it's of course a 2-ranged weapon. Big Catch Bow is the bow version of Ursula's Scallop Dagger, so if a penalty is on the enemy, Wolt gets +5 attack and speed. He appreciates both of these stat boosts, but unlike Ursula or Lilina, Wolt can't apply a debuff with his weapon. He can use Chill Speed to debuff probably one enemy, but to get the most value from Big Catch Bow, Wolt is gonna need some help. That said, he isn't done stacking attack and speed just yet. Oh boy, so Brazen Attack and Speed 4 has arrived. Our first tier 4 Brazen skill. This one is unsurprisingly pretty darn good. At the start of combat, if unit's HP is less than or equal to 80%, grants +9 attack and +10 speed during combat. So no new effects, it's just got more attack and speed added on. The Brazen skills are already pretty strong, granting huge stat boost at the cost of needing to be on lowish HP. With no new effects, Brazen Attack and Speed 4 will just be a little extra for any units who already use the tier 3 version. For Wolt specifically, if you can manage to activate Big Catch Bow and Brazen Attack and Speed 4, he can hit 60 attack and 49 speed, so definitely a lot of firepower potential. Of course, activating both abilities is going to be the main challenge. If you want to keep Wolt's main skills, you will probably need some kind of ally that can bring debuffs. He can gain some massive attack and speed boost, but Wolt can also fail to activate both his weapon and A skill, which is not great. If you are set on using Big Catch Bow, you may want to bring multiple chill or smoke type skills to at least help spread debuffs. Otherwise, it would be okay to trade it out for something more consistent like a slaying bow. Brazen Attack and Speed is a great skill as long as you have a way to lower Wolt's HP without him just dying. If you don't need chilled speed, Desperation is obviously a great pair for Brazen skills, and you can even get Brazen Attack and Speed 3 in the Sacred Seal slot. +16 attack and 17 speed sounds pretty darn good to me. While Big Catch Bow can add even more attack and speed on top of this, maybe it's just not worth the hassle in most team comps. Maybe if you bring a heavy debuffing team including some of the other units like Ursula or Lilina, then sure, it can definitely be a good weapon. Regardless, at the very least, Wolt has good attack and speed stats to run any of the more offensive bows like a Brave Bow, Fire Sweep Bow, or the Slaying Bow. If you want a green bow unit, he should be very usable. Our last summer unit is Summer Lin. No surprise, Lin is here to steal all the orbs before 3 houses hits, and while you may want to resist the temptation in hopes of someone like Edelgard being on the next banner, well, Lin isn't leaving without putting up a good fight. She is a flying blue archer, our 3rd blue archer, and our 1st flying one. Already pretty unique. Her stats include 37 HP, 33 attack, 38 speed, 20 defense, and 27 resistance. Oh boy, so 33 attack and 38 speed is very good, and she isn't going to completely kill over against physical threats, although she is affected by the weapon triangle as a blue unit. Her base stats are pretty darn impressive, but Lin isn't done by a long shot. She comes with 4 old skills, all of them very good. Reposition is awesome on flying units, and Lin has attack and speed link to pair with it, another +6 attack and speed adding to her great base stats. Her A skill is Sturdy Impact, probably one of the best offensive A skills for attackers. It grants +6 attack and +10 defense, and it stops follow-ups. Lin's C skill is Distant Guard, which grants nearby allies +4 defense and res against ranged units. Nice stuff all around, but we still have a weapon to talk about. Summer Lin has the Deep Blue Bow, the only unique weapon on this banner. It's a 14 might bow that also grants a flat +3 speed. This brings Lin up to a very impressive 41 speed before anything else. The Deep Blue Bow is also effective against armor units, much like Archer Hineka's Warrior Princess Bow. However, this is a bit more potent. If Lin initiates combat against a full HP enemy, she then gets +4 to all stats during combat, so this is an absurdly powerful weapon. When you take into account Summer Lin's stats and base skills, there is some amazing synergy here, and in terms of pure numbers, I think Lin just outclasses Hineka for a flying bow unit with an armor effective weapon. However, we do have to consider that Hineka is a colorless archer while Summer Lin is a blue archer. That means Lin isn't going to have great success against green units, while Hineka has neutral matchups all around. If we are talking armor units, there are a lot of strong green armor units, so probably shouldn't expect Lin to delete them with ease. That said, Summer Lin has such a good base kit, and that saves a lot of hassle for players who aren't summoning a ton. From the start, she's going to be a great unit if you just want a blue archer. In terms of playstyle, Summer Lin is focused on player phase initiations. Deep Blue Bow and Sturdy Impact only work when initiating, but their combined stat gain is insane. They give Lin +10 attack, +4 speed, +14 14 defense and plus 4 resistance. If you add a Darting Blow seal, Lin gets plus 10 speed total, or it's more like plus 13 if you include the flat stat boost from the weapon itself. For a neutral summer Lin, this gets her to 57 attack, 51 speed, 34 defense, and 31 resistance when initiating, and that is without any field buffs. You tack on attack and speed link and oh boy, it's definitely an overkill on speed. This Lin has some interesting options depending on what you want to do. Even with no Darting Blow seal or tag and speed link buff, she still hits 45 speed, so Desperation is a fine skill. With sturdy impact and her OK res stat plus the boost from Deep Blue Bow, Lin can definitely take a counterattack, and if she falls into Desperation range, she just cleans up on the player phase. If you want to help her bust through tanky armor units, Chill Defense could be nice. Replacing Distant Guard with a wave buff would be great too, and I actually think Coyote's Shield isn't a bad option here. I'm not the biggest fan of sacrificing a slot for Coyote's Shield, but with Sturdy Impact and Deep Blue Bow adding so many stats, it would be nice to ignore the natural weakness to bows. This would allow Lin to attack into archers and without getting completely destroyed. If you give her defense buffs, she can definitely start to shrug off daggers and bows. Of course, this is mainly talking about only when initiating. Summer Lin isn't getting much on the enemy phase. She is going to be a very scary attacking unit because Sturdy Impact helps protect her from dying, and with her amazing attack and speed stats, she's going to hurt a lot. You really want to catch her out on the enemy phase to neutralize a lot of her power. Great unit and definitely worth pulling for the many Lin fans out there. That wraps up this banner breakdown. Some very tempting units, although colored bows and daggers may not be everyone's favorite class types. Let me know what you think about our new units in the comments. Again, I want to reiterate that it's basically guaranteed the next banner is going to be for 3 houses for the game's launch. Fortunately, this summer banner and the first one will both last 30 days from now, and that extends past the launch of 3 houses banner. This means if you can wait until then, you can see what's coming next, whether it's good or bad. If you don't plan to summon immediately or at all, then you have another Tempest Trials coming up, and that includes a free Summer Fiora. She looks pretty good for a reward unit, and that's coming out in a couple days. I know summer units are tempting, fan service is fun, but man, 3 houses is right around the corner, and for those holding out till then, I wish you good luck. I would kill for a banner with Byleth and the house leaders. Hopefully it's going to be a good game. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys in the next video.